or something like that.
Hey.
I'm Dan Blewett. I'm your co-host of the Morning Brushback podcast. Thanks for being here. I'm joined remotely from Chicago. Bobby Stevens is here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
And we're joined remotely. We have an awesome guest today, Jeremy Nowak. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
And if you don't know who Jeremy Nowak is, Bobby, fill us in.
Jeremy Nowak, former teammate of mine with the Baltimore Orioles, professional baseball player, current construction estimator, and long drive professional. So got a golf pro on the show today.
And how far can you hit a golf ball? What's your farthest drive, either in competition or in a real
in simulation
round?
Yeah, so in my short career so far in long drive, I 393 is my furthest in competition, and then scramble tournament last season, I drove a 422 yard green and stuck it pin high in a bunker. So,
wind at your face.
Yeah, no, I had a little wind on that one on my back, but
man. So 393. Do you guys give each other like a hard time when you're standing around if you don't have 400 by your resume? Do all these guys?
Yeah.
Is that like the benchmark for some of these guys?
Not really, man. I mean, like if we have even the slightest wind at our back, which I haven't hit yet, which is crazy. But yeah, slightest wind, you'll get guys hitting 400 plus consistently. I guess qualifier in Yucca Valley, California, which was supposed to be the first one I was going to go to this season before it got canceled. They had consistent 20-mile-an-hour winds at their back. So I think the top 50 drives, even in the entire qualifier with a bunch of guys that didn't even make it, were hitting it over 400 yards, which guys and other guys hitting it 475 yards and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yikes.
it's pretty wild when you get to that level.
So when did you realize that you had this talent? I mean, you've been golfing your whole life, or was this like just playing part-time, like while you're playing baseball, or what's your golf journey look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was in my college days, my brother-in-law kind of got me into it, and he, right away, it was kind of unlike most baseball players that grab a golf club and start swinging it, where you see those high slices and they're hitting the ball hard, but it's going everywhere. For me, I just always hit it straight, and I don't know, for years I didn't really play much golf. I might go out.
I've lost him. Do you hear him?
Yeah, I got him.
Oh, you got me?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as golfing, I only get out maybe 10 times a year. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago when I tried that unique step in my swing at a Topgolf, and it just happened to go straight. It just made sense to walk up to the ball and hit it like that. And I don't think if it went so straight, I would have kept doing it, but tried it a few more times, had my buddy record it for me. And this was before I even started Instagram and stuff. So I had that video on my phone for quite some time. And about 6 months into having the Instagram page growing, with all the baseball impersonations and stuff like that, I was running out of videos. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to post one of these videos, see how it does. And it was like one of my most viewed videos was my golf swing. I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, after that, I started trying to build the YouTube channel, and I figured I'll see if they have any local qualifiers or anything like that. And I'm going to try to go in there with my unique swing and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I just get some content of me swinging like a goofball against all these guys. So yeah, it was about 3 swings into it. I hit a 387 yard drive, and I was beating everyone by over 30 yards. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what I want to do now. So it was pretty cool.
Got a hidden talent you didn't even know you had.
Exactly. But
Dan, you good over there?
It's questionable. If you can hear me, then I'm good. If you can't hear me, then I'm not good. I'm having Wi-Fi issues that I can't really resolve, but hey, we're going to push through it if anyone heard that. So, Jeremy, what would you attribute your crazy power to?
I think just a lot of years of baseball training. I have a lot of aspects in my golf swing that is relevant from baseball, which actually I'm trying to get away from, because there's some parts of the swing that I need to develop to be faster. There's guys right now, I would say I'm in the top probably 10 to 15 fastest in the world right now with the golf club. And, you know, to get to the top, you know, 3 to 5 guys, there's certain things in a golf swing that has to happen, because I'm swinging a much lighter object at a slightly different angle than a baseball bat. But yeah, as far as my natural, like my abilities to hit the ball far, a lot of it just comes from training a baseball swing. Because there are, you know, just like there are a lot of aspects that are different, there's a lot of aspects that are the same as well. So that explosive power and stuff like that is stuff I've been developing for years.
But
Yeah,
did
so
you
talk a little bit.
tanks on Bobby?
Come on, Dan.
I got this. But did you hit tanks on the baseball field? I mean, like, there's got to be a huge carryover correlation, whatever you want to call it, from, I mean, how you're what, 6'1", 6'2", is that right? I think I read your stats.
I'm like 6'1", 6'6" sometimes, depending on what convenience store I'm coming out of. But yeah, so no, I'm 6'1", I'm about 215.
I mean, how far did you just destroy baseballs? I mean, like, did you have disproportionate pop as a player?
I mean, I was professionally, I would consider myself power-wise a 5 o'clock hitter. But yeah, I had a lot of trouble translating that into games. It was more of a doubles.
I'm probably frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen right now.
No, we don't need Dan at this point.
No, if I freeze, just let me go.
Okay. But yeah, so as far as my power goes, I've always had natural power with the baseball bat, even coming into college at Stony Brook and stuff like that. You know, coming out of high school, I could always hit the baseball far. And then so the power's always been there. I think even after my career was over, I developed even more, because I kind of stepped away from pretty much everything, got to rebuild my swing from the ground up with my baseball swing. So I actually post videos on my Instagram channel every now and then comparing my professional swing to now. And it's wild how much of my lower half I never used professionally as opposed to now. And I could see it during batting practice and stuff like that. I just feel like it's a lot easier power. But yeah, so I definitely say I had some pop with the baseball bat.
Yeah. So, and we were talking before we went live a little bit just about that, like that, you know, because Bobby's a hitting coach. You played pro baseball. I was a pitching coach, or still am a pitching coach. And some kids just like have this power to like wind their body up and unwind it naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're, you know, good throwers are usually good hitters. I mean, good hitters can usually throw hard. Now, I'm not saying they're like good pitchers or whatever, but you know, you see like these major league draft picks that can destroy a ball. They can also like throw 92 from the outfield or whatever, right? There seems like there's a consistency, and it probably, I would imagine it often carries over to swinging a golf club. Like at the very least, you probably have better than most people, but I mean, you have like disproportionate, like crazy power. And of course, that's obviously to your hard work and training. And I'm not undercutting any of that, but there's definitely, I think, and my business partner who also did hitting, we talked about this a lot. Like some kids, their bodies, and I say kids a lot, but just athletes, baseball players, softball players, their bodies just seem to know how to like wind it up and get everything going at like the same time. They just have like this synchronicity in their body. Do you feel that way? Like, I mean, would you say that there's something fundamentally unique about guys that can just destroy a golf ball 400 yards? Like you see something they can do a little different than other people?
Well, yeah. And that's where it's just getting wild training, because everything now, I mean, I have a very nice simulator I carry around with me everywhere if I go to the range or if I'm training. So I track all my speeds at all times. And even with baseball, you know, I hit on a hit track system. I give lessons as well, baseball lessons, and that's a huge part of what I teach is sequencing and the rhythm of everything. Because even with my golf training, like I'm going 12:30 today for training, and you know, even comparing my last 2 sessions, I could feel the kinetic chain working. On one day, it just seems effortless, and I could feel, you know, the top of my swing where I'm turning everything around, where the timing of my lower half of my hands are just perfect. And then you see the club head speeds up, you know, 2 or 3 miles an hour. The ball speeds are up another 5 miles an hour. So like, and that's like a day-to-day thing where, you know, I have to keep swinging You know, sometimes it'll take me 50 swings, sometimes it'll take me 120 swings to find that sequence with my golf swing. But it's the same thing with baseball. I think a lot of my lessons that I teach, I got kids that have natural power, but it's a lot of you know, tension in their swing. And once I could loosen up that tension to where we could almost build some momentum with our load, yeah, and then it's a lot easier power, and then you see those numbers go up too, which is pretty cool. So
it's interesting that you know, you're talking about the kinetic chain, all that stuff with the golf swing. Is there a golf coach that specializes in long drive swing and, you know, maximizing your drive?
Smash coach.
Smashing golf balls. Like, have you found somebody that's like specializes, that has done this before? It seems like like a pretty niche, you know, part of the golf world.
Yeah, so there are long drive coaches. The most winningest right now, he's in North Carolina. I went there to get fitted for driver about 2 months ago now, and spoke with him a little bit. As far as working with the coach, I found someone locally. One of my friends in high school, she married a guy. He's a PT, and his partner went for TPI training. So they go through a certification process where they could break down a golf swing, figure out where you're straining yourself, whether it's your hips, your lower back, your shoulders, your neck, wherever it is. And they give you a ranking system, and they basically try to figure out ways under load to adjust your body. And I guess the way he explains it is trying to, like, you know, straighten out your spine so where you could spin faster, you could keep everything tighter, where you could rotate quicker with the golf swing. That's their goal. And it's pretty wild. This is going to be my second full week working with him, and just seeing where my body is restricted compared to guys that are able to maximize those things. It's pretty insane. Things that I would never even, you know, think about, and I was never trained for. I never talked about it and stuff like that. But I'm all for it. I mean, you know how it is with baseball. It's, you know, both hitting and pitching. You know, you find something you could work on every day. That's part of the fun, is actually making those adjustments and seeing how much better you could do when you commit to a certain change. So I'm excited about it.
So are you allowed back at Topgolf? I've seen videos of you at Topgolf, and you're just like pumping them over the net, just like into the houses, and probably just bringing terror to like little girls watching TV. And they're like, how do you, like, can you go to Topgolf? Like, I've seen you there, but like, what's the story? You just pumping them out of there?
Yeah, it's funny because, like, I've heard people saying they're getting kicked out and stuff, but I honestly had, like, probably last time I was at Topgolf, I had about 20 people surrounding me watching, and maybe 5 of them were workers. And like, I don't know if it's just the way I'm swinging or how far they're actually going. I don't know what it is. I mean, the Topgolfs I've hit at, they don't have anything over the nets. Some of the videos that I've posted where I am hitting it over the net was at a Drive Shack where there was a Wawa across the street. And a lady actually came back to Drive Shack with a golf ball because the golf ball landed near her car. And that's when they asked me to stop hitting it over the net. But yeah, I mean, they share my videos. They'll comment on it too. Topgolf would. I mean, I think they like the publicity. Like those views are insane that I get off of them. So I don't think I think they find the trade-off to be okay. So I don't know.
I just picture someone with like her Wawa meatball hoagie, just like out there, and just like boop, just golf ball just like replaces a meatball. But no, that's wild.
Are you making your rounds with these Topgolfs, or you just keep going to the same one and then you're a local celebrity there?
No, I've been to the Orlando one, was my first one, and then I've gone to Tampa a few times. I've been to Myrtle Beach. It's just me on trips when I'm in the area. But actually, I went to Nashville, which was the one that I posted that got, you know, it's been getting crazy views with Connor, the guy working there, asking me to stop hitting it over the net. But it was funny. I went to the Nashville one. It was my first time ever in Nashville, and I was there for the ABCA baseball convention. And I walk into the Topgolf. I take 2 steps in. There's a guy. He's probably like 6'5", 6'6", standing at the front desk with a bunch of friends. And he turns And he turns back to the desk and he turns again. He's like, Jeremy Nowak? I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, the Swingman? I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, I'm your biggest fan. I'm like, I've been here for 2 seconds. And then all of a sudden, like, I had my whole row of like the second story doing the Nowak step and trying to pulls out, and they're asking me for tips and stuff. It was pretty cool. But I've never been to Nashville, and the fact that someone just came up to me, the first person I saw in Nashville
awesome.
knew who I was. It was pretty wild.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, let's talk about like the business aspect of this. So, you know, like long drive is one of those not necessarily going to pay the bills until you're probably like getting sponsored by lots and lots of people, I would assume. So what is it like? You know, you're going to probably pave a pretty nice career out with long drive. Do you do appearances? Like what's the hustle look like?
Yeah. So that's where, you know, for me, this would have been my first sponsored season. So my first season altogether, which is pretty rare. Like guys don't usually come in their first full season and have full sponsorship. So like my whole season was gonna be covered with everything and then some with my sponsors. And that was through my channel, being able to reach out to companies on my own and figure out how to do that. But yeah, I mean, with long drive, it's a sport that's trying to grow. So you're absolutely right. Like unless you're getting consistently in the top 8, you're not really making a living off of it. A lot of the long drivers right now, they do you know, go around the country and do appearances, different places. For me, I was, you know, just to give you guys, I guess, a little context as far as what I do. You know, my day usually consists of, I do sales appointments for construction in the morning for a family business that my father owns. And then I give baseball lessons in the afternoons, typically, you know, during fall, winter, and spring. So obviously spring and summer will kind of die down a little bit now that they're all out playing. But I do long drive, YouTube, and Instagram. So trying to figure out schedule wise what would work for me to get more exposure with my long drive and being able to kind of figure out a way to make money off of it is one thing. So yeah, like I said, being my first year, being where I was ranked, my mindset coming into this season was to get my rankings up as high as possible. So and to do that was all about training and staying focused, and then kind of see where it took me from there. So that's kind of where it was planning on this year, kind of changed a little bit with everything going on. So
gotcha. And your sponsor now, so I see Stinger all over your shirt. Are they like what kind of company are they? Are they specifically like on the long drive side? Or are they just a regular golf company, or do they have any kind of niche in long drive?
So, well, actually Stinger Sports Gear. So this is they made my shirt up. So they do a lot of apparel stuff for any sport. They started off as primarily baseball and softball, but they make jerseys and stuff like that. But on top of that, they also have awesome equipment. So like they make customized wood bats. They just came out with their first BB court, which is in the mail for me right now to kind of test out. And but they do all my apparel. So like this hat right here, this is my clothing
it's a cool
line,
logo. I like your logo.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I have this on the back of this polo too. But as far as Stinger, they've been with me from the start. Brandon Eaton, who's the owner, me and him actually play baseball together in like men's leagues, and he's we just played a couple of tournaments together. Excuse me. So when I started the channel, he ran into one of my videos when I had like 1,000 followers, and he said, man, I could see a huge, I could see something in this. And basically the trade-off, you send me all this cool stuff to wear and bats and fielding gloves and all this stuff. So yeah,
That's
I kind of
cool.
been with them from the start. But then I got, Crank, who manufactures the long drivers. They won all 3 divisions last year. So I get my drivers from them. And then, so I have, and then Encore Golf. Actually, Encore is pretty cool because they're a local golf ball company. They manufacture golf balls, and they're based out of Buffalo. So all these guys are Buffalo born guys that I kind of reached out to.
Right? I mean, it's just snowing constantly, and just like attack from Yetis and mountain goats and whatever else happens in Buffalo. So Sounds like a
Oh,
good
they're
occupation.
calling for snow tomorrow, so I don't think
Ew.
it's gonna happen. But
Are they
Ew.
really?
they are.
That's
They are. It's terrible because it's like 60 degrees out right now. I can't see it actually snowing, but we'll
so
see.
how much different is that driver you're using for the competitions as
Yeah,
opposed to like the one that I would use when I'm going out,
Yeah, Bobby has a Fisher
semi-lean.
Price set.
Yeah.
So the little Bertha.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice. No, so I guess a lot of people don't know this, but actually long drivers are USGA conforming. So Tiger Woods could grab my long driver and use it in his next tournament if he wanted to. So yeah, they used to be, I think 5 years ago, they used to be longer and outside of that regulation, but they wanted to make it a little more fitting, to the sport. So everything's USGA conforming. So it's a max 48 inches long. So your typical drivers are anywhere, around 44, 45 inches. So the driver's longer to create more club head speed. And where typical people that golf would use anywhere between like a regular flex and a stiff. I actually have both. So I have almost like a senior flex one. So it's more whippy. But I also have a triple X stiff shaft in my club. And then as far as the loft, typical drivers are around 10 to 12 degree launch or angle. And my drivers are 3 to 4 degree launch for my driver. So the whole idea and this is another wild part of long drive, is you have your club head speed, your ball speed, but also ball spin is crazy more important than the speed. So obviously you need enough speed to compete, but at a certain point, like I've hit the ball on TrackMan 219.4. Like I could hit a ball 211 that could go further than that 219 if I have better spin rates on it. So that part of my game with the clubs I use, you want to try to get the ball as high as you can with the least amount of spin. So when it's landing into the ground, it's almost like an airplane coming in. So you get because they count the roll too in long drives. So that's another factor.
So why is it so much lower than a typical driver? Just for that exact factor? Like, you can hit it far enough where it'll eventually get the height that you want at 5 degrees versus 8 or 10 or 12?
Yeah. So it's about spin. So where you take someone driving on tour, you watch on TV, these guys playing on a regular course, they'll hit their 8 or 9 degree driver with with a lot of backspin. So they'll hit around probably like 2,500 RPM, some of them, to keep the control. So they want it kind of landing to where they can control their landing zone. With long drive, you have 6 shots to try to get one in play as far as you can. So as far as the lower loft, you just take a lot of spin off. So where on TV, their approach angle into the ball might be 2 or 3 degrees coming up on the ball to kind of dead the spin down. We're swinging at around anywhere between 7 and 11 degrees up on the ball with our low loft driver to create lift with less spin. So yeah, it's stuff that, when I went into it last year, I've never trained. So I just a guy coming off of a driving range and just swinging as hard as I can. That's all I cared about. I was like, why do these guys even focus on all this other stuff? Just hit the ball as hard as you can. And now that I'm actually getting measured for all my stuff and training, it's like crazy to see how much I'm improving distance wise, because that's what it's all about. On top of just speed that I'm increasing, it's my ball spin numbers are a lot better, and I'm just getting a lot more distance. So I am very excited to get on the tee box against all these guys again now that I have some training under my belt.
Well, it seems like you could go ahead, Bob.
I was gonna say, how much different was it when you got the long drive driver? Like, what are you at? Do you pull the long drive driver out when you're just out, playing a charity event or a golf outing, or are you taking the regular driver? And what's your difference there? Like, are you normally 330 off the tee with a standard driver that Dan and I would use?
Yeah. So I have, now crank, I do have a 6.5 degree play driver, which is still very low, but I was playing with an 8 degree ping driver for years. And speed wise, because I do have a different swing too. So I have my golf swing, and then I have my long drive swing with the step. So If I am playing a charity tournament, if it's a scramble tournament, I'm absolutely doing my step. If someone gets it in the fairway, I have my long driver out. I'll sacrifice a wedge to have 2 drivers in my bag, and and basically I'll do the step. So yeah, my normal drive, I'll typically carry it 320 to 350, and then as opposed to my long drive, I'm carrying it about 375, and up to 400 yards depending on the wind. So
I'm just debating whether or not to jump in this because I feel like that is it supplementing
jump in what?
Just buying a long driver and going to the range. I got time, Dan. I got nothing but time right now.
Well, I was gonna say this sounds like a good social distancing sport. You could just like be up on a little mountaintop, just pumping balls into the abyss. Like,
well, us long drivers. So we have a Marco Polo, and there's like 20 of us long drivers around the world that we all talk back and forth, and we think that the Golf Channel missed a huge opportunity with long drive because they sponsor, they own long drive, or World Long Drive. So so as far as like all these sports getting shut down, like World Long Drives, we're standing 12 feet away from each other at all times. So we could have been the only sport on television, which would have been awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a better way to grow the sport at that time. So it's it was, as far as social distancing and stuff, the sport's perfect for it. But
so they officially banged the season. They couldn't just like call you up and have a couple of like just separate events, just like do some, because you're right. I mean, you could just, who wouldn't watch that right now? Everyone would watch that right now. Just, hey, there's a bunch of dudes in the Himalayas hitting balls into some mountains. Like, check it out.
It's gotta be a great gambling sport. Like, hey, just pick your guy. Who do you think is going to hit the ball?
This is the first year they're implementing gambling too. So it was a big year for them. They're doing actually drug testing too. So I think that would have got my ranking up to about 30th. No, I'm just kidding.
You're used to the drug testing, right? The baseball aspect.
When me and you played together, man, I've never, I got drug tested 8 times that year.
I know. Well, the year they started the HGH testing, I got it both times. That blood test. Yeah, both times.
Yeah,
very random, right?
Test that. Yeah.
Yeah, I somehow have never been drug tested in my life. I avoided them in college. We started getting them. We didn't really get tested much my first and second year, like 2004, 2005. But after that, NCAA like bumped up their testing, and I still just somehow avoided the random testing. I don't know.
That's good. That's fun. Because
it didn't matter. I wasn't taking anything, but it was still like, I don't want to go pee in front of some random person. I don't even watch the stream flow out of me. Like
I got used to it,
super
man.
awkward.
I think Jeremy and I run a first name basis with that guy.
It really was.
Hey Todd, how's the stream today? Hey,
yeah,
it's good, man. Man, look a little dehydrated.
He was recognizing us. He was recognizing us for reasons other than our face, which was an uncomfortable situation.
Oh man, some of those guys, man, I feel like they get way too comfortable with their job. I remember the one guy was full out, just almost, I had to almost pee past him. He was standing straight in front of me, looking at me this way. And he's just asking, having full conversations, man. Hey man, how you been? How's baseball going? I'm like, dude, just
stop talking. Please.
You're not hanging out.
You're not helping. You're not helping. Or when they would make you go before the game, and it's like you can't go play until you give a sample, a urine sample, and it's like, well, the game starts in 10 minutes, and I don't have to go at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be an amazing SNL sketch where it's like, first, how when they train waiters, they have someone shadowing them around. It's like there's the old tester. He's just sitting there, and then the apprentice is right behind him. He's like, so are they just gonna pee? Are they just gonna pee? It could just be this amazing shut up, just trying to learn the job, learn the ropes.
You don't realize how difficult it is to use the bathroom when someone is just direct. I mean, it's not like they're next to you where you go into a public bathroom. They're staring at you.
Yeah.
And their only purpose when they can't leave until you leave. So it's you're on the clock.
Yeah.
Gun to your head. Let's go.
That'd be a nightmare for a shy bladder person. I'd literally a nightmare.
There's many of them too. There's a lot of guys that just really struggle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the guys that are trying to use somebody else's urine.
Yeah.
So how Jeremy and I obviously we played together. Like that's how I know you and everything. How much is this supplementing like your competitive edge in the, with long drive? Because I know all of us, when we stop playing, we try and fill that void of whether it's competition or training or whatever. Like how much has the long drive been helping you?
100%, man. And I don't know, my wife and, my brother, my family, they all noticed it right away. They could see it in my persona and everything, how I was carrying myself around. Once I hit that, I could honestly remember the drive perfectly in that first qualifier. It literally took me 3 swings for me to commit and tell myself, this is what I'm going to be doing from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
awesome.
I knew it right away. So it was, and ever since then, man, it's crazy, like how I'm able to shift my passion into it. Cause obviously it's a different sport, but at the same time, it's like, I take baseball for me, I loved offense. I loved hitting. What's the funnest part about hitting is hitting a home run. Now I'm just playing a sport where I'm just making the ball go as far as I can every time. Like that's almost like training your baseball swing, but the guy, like, okay, your pitchers are only going to lob fastballs right down the middle. So
it's like playing
we need
modern
you to
baseball.
hit the ball. Yeah. It's like, it's it's so much fun to work on. And especially, it's not like I'm coming into it, like obviously naturally I got a lot of skill in the game, but the fact that I know there's so much more room for improvement makes it even that much more exciting. And that, like, the day-to-day process, like, obviously I was very excited for this season to happen to where I could put myself on the map as far as a high-ranked world long driver, but just the road getting there, like, to have this extra 4 months of training, like, makes me interested to see how fast I could actually get before Worlds happens this year. So it's not like, you guys know how baseball is. The actual grind and the actual work on it is half of the fun. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, we're here with Jeremy Nowak, who is a long drive pro. Can hit the ball over 400 yards. So if you're tuning in, if you're on Twitter or Periscope or YouTube, you have a question for us, feel free to drop in the chat. I'm sure he'd love to answer some questions. I'm sure there's a ton of golfers. Obviously, golf is the beloved pastime for many a baseball player. So if you're out there, feel free to drop us a line. So, so you talk about all these adjustments. Do you feel like all the hitting adjustments, is golf more of a game of adjustments than baseball as far as hitting, or less so?
I think less, a lot less, because in baseball you're constantly adjusting to pitchers. Mm-hmm. So where baseball, Bobby knows, your swing could feel absolutely money and perfect in batting practice, or even the day before you went 4 for 4, and then the next day it's like you swing through your first 2 fastballs, or you strike out your first at bat on a fastball down the middle, and you're like questioning everything you've ever done. like it's not,
your worth as a person, all of it. Yeah. Why do I live? Why am I alive right now?
Yeah, it takes you, it'll, baseball will knock you right back down, because you're not in control of pretty much anything in baseball, but when, in golf and long drive, it's all on you, you know what I mean? So I think once you find that sequence and stuff in your swing and that focus, which I feel like I was very good at in baseball, then you're able to repeat the same motions over and over. So in that sense, for me, once I do find what I'm working on that day, or find that that swing point, I could replicate it over and over again, which I think is going to help me in the sport as well.
So wasn't there another guy who, I don't know if he did long drive, but I knew he could hit a ball pretty far, and you might have played with him, because I'm pretty sure he played it in Joliet. There's no shot I get his name right, but he was a big dude. He was like 6'5", 6'6", and he was in the Frontier League when I was there. And he just, like, as soon as he was done, he retired, I think, in 2012. And then he was like immediately going out and like doing long drive. Do you know who that was?
I'd have to do some research on that.
I feel like his name was Steve. It was like a S or an R name. And of course that's completely just a guess, but yeah, but he was a big dude. Yeah, Steve or Steve. Richard or whatever. But he probably flopped out.
And that's where, like, with World Long Drive, you find there's a lot of guys coming in from different sports, different angles. So there are a lot of guys I play with that play baseball in their day. So yeah, I mean, I'd have to see. I'm sure I'll run into him as far as the long drive competition.
And I don't know if he's still doing it or if that was just like he could hit the ball far. I can't remember, but that was like a bullpen. We're all sitting in the bullpen, just like talking about the other teams or whatever, and just like going through the gossip. And the gossip was like one of those guys that retired was now like hitting the ball far. So, and it wasn't you, it was someone else, but and I can picture him in his swing. But so is there like a dugout? Is there like a clubhouse, or is it just everyone shows up to the championship? I mean, like you said, you have like a group chat with some of those guys, but like what's the camaraderie like on the long drive side?
That's like another awesome part about the sport is like right away, like my first event when I came in the qualifiers, like I followed all these guys on Instagram. Like I was amazed by what these guys could do. And then I finally get myself measured on the same grids these guys are hitting, and I'm hitting them just as far as all of them. So they had a pro event right after our qualifier, like the amateur qualifier. And so all the pros were there. So after I got done hitting, they've already seen my swing on Instagram because I've been promoting that I was going to be going to this qualifier. So I was eating lunch with my family, and sure enough, like I got all these guys walking in, introducing themselves. I'm like, oh, I know him. And it was pretty wild. Like right away, they almost like they saw what I could be with the sport and stuff like that, and they all just like swarmed around, and they're all like welcome me with open arms. Like it was the coolest thing. And that's where like the first day I met Bobby Peterson, who he's the coach I referred to in North Carolina. He came up to me right away and was talking to me. He actually built the driver I was using, which I didn't know. I got the driver from a buddy of mine that used to compete years ago. He had cleanup behind me at Mount Olive College, but yeah, it was awesome. And then the number one in the world at the time invited me and my wife the next day to like a dinner party at his family's house. And then after that, like right now with this whole thing going on, we're in this huge Marco Polo. Everyone's talking like throughout the whole day. Like there's, a group of 5 or 6 of us that log on. We play COD, late at night. So I'm playing with guys, if I stay up late enough, it would be,
so you're shooting your new friends. What you're saying, you're killing your new friends.
Oh, I'm killing them. Yeah. No,
Gotcha.
We're killing people together. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But it's funny how it works because it'd be like, I'll be up late playing with a buddy in California. And then all of a sudden, at 3 a.m., there's, someone from the UK logging on. He's waking up and stuff like that. But it's pretty cool. It's definitely a tight knit group. I'd compare it to, when you're on a baseball team that gets along with each other and everyone's tight. Like that's what it feels like with this community, which is awesome.
That's cool. How good were you at Tiger Woods PGA Tour golf? I feel like that was one of the best games ever, hitting it into gale force winds. So fun.
Yeah, I love that game, man. I miss it. I wish, when they went to Rory, it wasn't the same. It didn't, I don't know.
He doesn't have the curb appeal that Tiger's got.
No. And I feel like the game, like whoever makes the game is like, yeah, let's not put as much time into it. Like it just seemed like it wasn't as cool.
I mean,
those guys did have its heyday a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was popular. I feel like those guys, they said they're coming up to you. They probably like the fact that, you've got a YouTube channel, Instagram, like you're bringing more fans to a sport, or people like myself. I've never even crossed my mind that long drive was a thing, other than maybe if it was on ESPN 3 at midnight.
The Ocho.
Yeah, exactly. But you're as much as you might be their competition, you're really bringing a little bit of a notoriety to the sport, from people that are following you just because you're imitating swings and stuff like that on Instagram. Now all of a sudden you jump in a long drive and you've got 70,000 followers or whatever you got on Instagram now. So it's just more people, more eyes on the sport.
Yeah. And that's where it gets really neat too. Cause the guys like notice that the other hitters, they tell me all the time, like I'm a great ambassador for the sport. And for me, I really do enjoy it. And I could see, like, you're going back to your guys' questions as far as like competition and stuff. Like for baseball players, there's a lot of even, pitchers and hitters that naturally have all this talent. And then after baseball's over, like, yeah, you get into coaching it, teaching it, but there's still that void. Like, what can I do with it? And I think long drive is an awesome thing that that people can do. Like there's a lot of people that have the talent to be a successful long driver, just don't know where to
Qualify
start.
a lot. Qualify a lot. I'd say it's probably not that many.
Well, there's a lot.
No,
there's a lot of guys. I mean, how many of the pitchers would go golfing once or twice a week? And I mean, there's guys with just natural athletic talent that have no outlet after baseball or after their sport.
How much arm talent do you need to hit a golf ball?
Arm talent.
Well, I tell you
Dan
what-
likes to poke fun at me.
It's an inside joke.
I
Yeah,
use the
Bobby,
phrase "arm talent" for pitchers, like Tom Brady.
which you've never heard that, have you, Jeremy?
arm talent, I've never heard.
Yeah.
Of arm
No,
talent.
of course not. Yeah.
He's in the Northeast. They're secluded up there.
Oh, he's trapped in snow, so he's never heard arm talent. Yeah, didn't
No,
penetrate
I never
his
met
igloo.
anyone
Come
with
on.
arm talent.
No.
It's good club talent, club head talent. So people watching, when Jeremy and I played together with the Orioles, he was with the Orioles and a few years in independent ball as well, switch hitter in baseball. But I think you long drive only righty. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm horrible.
Is that your?
left-handed.
I was gonna say, is righty your natural
Yeah.
baseball swing too?
Yep. I hit only right-handed up until I was 12, and I'd always mess around in the backyard. Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite player growing up, and that's how I learned how to hit. I didn't have any hitting coaches or anything, so I just mimicked guys all the time. My brother and I have a brother, he's a year and a half older. Our game was we'd always be outside and we'd play 3-on-3, and we'd pick 3 lefties, 3 righties to imitate, and we'd just play, simulated games all day long.
Right.
And when I was 12 years old, I was actually at the Cooperstown tournament in Dreams Park, and we were beating New Jersey by like 18 runs. So I decided to go up there left-handed, and I had a 14 pitch at bat and hit a home run to dead center. And I was like super pumped, but I was so nervous the whole time. I was like afraid to do it again. So I didn't bat left-handed at all the rest of the tournament because I was so scared the first time. And when I turned 13 years old, right at the start of the season, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do full switch hit and we'll see how it goes. And my first at bat, I hit another home run. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely doing this. So
It's a natural.
So, yeah, ever since then, I've been doing it.
That's awesome. It's hard to switch hitting in general is hard. I can't imagine trying to switch golf.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, in how I teach baseball swings, your top hand controls the barrel and keeps everything connected, in my opinion. So that's why I'm trying to do it left-handed. My left hand's my weak side, so trying to control the club head feels near impossible from the left side. But I'm sure if I practice it more, it would be all right. But yeah, it's pretty all over the place when I swing left-handed.
Yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned spin. What is the spin that's optimal for getting the ball to go as far as it can with a golf ball? Because it's not quite the same as a baseball. I know that.
Yeah. So as far as RPMs with backspin, so ideally you want to be between 1500 and 2000 RPMs is where you want to be. I'm actually low, and I think it's something with my swing that I could create some serious low numbers with my spin, but I hover when I'm feeling good. I'm between 1300 and 1800 RPMs. But as far as outside of that, even your club angle coming in. So my biggest problem right now is I come across the ball at 2 degrees left. So I get this fade into the fairway, which I can control and I can keep it in the grid, but for distance, you want a little bit of a draw. So you want to be about 2 to 4 degrees right when you come into the ball. And with my step and everything going on, that's a very tough adjustment to make without drastically feeling something different with my hands. So that's something right now I'm currently in the training process of trying to get my club path straightened out a little more, but at the same time not sacrificing speed, which is the tough thing to do. But you have to have some of those days where you put the ego aside and just work on what you got to work on. And
what are the factors that will increase or decrease your spin? Is it the little slats on the golf on the face of the driver? Is it the angle? Is it what do you do to manipulate that?
Yeah, it's just it's how you approach the ball coming in. I swing. I believe I'm around 7 degrees swinging up on the ball, but outside of that, that part. I'm trying to figure out. I don't have a long drive coach, so this is all me trying to figure. I just know what the numbers I have to get to. I know where the top guys are,
Mhm.
the guys that consistently win. So as far as, creating less spin, I guess I never really had to worry about that because my spin rates are naturally low. So so for me, it's more about my approach angle, left or right of target. So that's what I'm mostly working on right now, which that part I could kind of feel out better. For baseball, it's similar to like getting around the ball as opposed to staying inside the baseball. It's kind of a similar type of concept, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, because I know with the baseball backspin, like you want more RPMs of backspin on like you hit a fly ball, but to a point. At a certain point, too much backspin increases drag, and then it starts to like even out. And that was actually
Absolutely.
something that they were. I was witness to this Twitter fight between not, and it wasn't a fight from Alan Nathan, who's the physics of baseball guy from the University of Illinois. He was just politely explaining to a guy who owns one of those like inverted tees, like the UT, or I can't remember which one it was.
Backspin.
That guy was like, yeah, he was like, backspin's always better. And Alan's like, until a point, and then it's not. And he's like,
Yep.
that's wrong. I have my own. He's like, no, you don't have your own research. I'm a physics professor. He's like, it was like this
Yep.
silly back and forth. It's like you're talking to one of the world's physics experts of baseball flight, and you're telling him that he's wrong from like your own personal experience. Like, just stop. Just
Yeah.
stop.
He
But
is wrong.
so,
Alan.
Alan's wrong. Is this conspiracy theory?
I don't even know what I don't know what Alan is. He doesn't know what
Alan
he's talking
Nathan.
about. Yeah,
He'll
he's
come
from
on
U
the
of
show.
I, right?
He's a great guy, and he's what I appreciate about Alan is that he'll explain the physics in a very matter of fact and layman, and like he wants physics to be accessible to everyone, which is not what's happening in lots of sports. Everyone's like blah, 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 using their techno gibberish, and he's like, here's what it is. Like, just like he wants people to learn, which is cool. So if you ever, you should. I wonder what he knows about golf, but he's a good resource. But
I agree with that because actually Josh Donaldson brought it up in one of his interviews that he's trying not to overspin the ball, and that's where the whole misconception with launch angle and stuff like that. Like, there's so many hitting coaches and so many athletes that translate that horribly wrong, and it's such a delicate topic to bring up to hitters now. But I think that's part of it is just your ability to not overspin the ball, because you could make a ball travel a lot further if you could do that. Obviously, when a pitch is coming in, a curveball coming in is going to spin a lot more coming off the bat than a fastball and stuff like that. So there's so many things you'll never even be able to control at that point. So in my opinion, it really doesn't even make a difference. But at the same time, if you're actually training to find that right angle, that's kind of the whole, I guess, end game is that you could hit a ball in front toss or off the tee with the least, less backspin than you'd normally want. So.
Yeah, and it's weird when you watch. I remember one of my teammates. Did you play with Joel Guzman, Bobby?
Yeah.
You were there with him?
I
You
played
with him?
against him, I think.
Why is it name? Yeah. No, I think I played against him. Yeah.
So he's like 6'6", super lanky from the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watched him take batting practice, it just looked fundamentally different than everyone else. And he was like a 16-year-old who got like $5 million out of the Dominican. And he like briefly made it to the majors, didn't quite pan out. But when he would take batting practice, and I watched him in the home run derby one year, he was just like getting his balls to take this crazy steep angle up and out of the park, just like they're like peeking over the fence. And then they just like hung. And it's like, when you know about the physics of ball flight, you realize like there can't be like that many, like it's not like he's doing something that no one else does, but it just seemed like it. You know what I mean? It was like weird. It's like, why does it when you hit the ball, it like sounds different, and then it just like takes off different, and then just seems to like linger in the ether and then just like crash down on top of a building? Because we were in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he was literally hitting him onto that like stadium over in left field. And it's like, what?
Bat
Like,
speed, man.
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. Just people seem different. I mean, is there anyone like that on the long drive tour where you're like, he just seems like he sticks out amongst other freaks of nature?
Well, Cal Berkshire is he's number one in the world, and like for example, like I swing, I swing on average about 143 miles an hour when I'm warmed up, which is about 200, 214 to 218 ball speed. Cal Berkshire, his average swings like 151 miles an hour. He'll top out at like 155, and and his average ball speed is like 222 miles an hour. So, and he hit 230 a few months ago, which got beat. That was the record, but it got beat by Martin Borgmeier in Germany, and he's
Borgmeier.
Borgmeier. Yeah, he's 6'6", 230, and yeah, he's just I mean, these guys are free. I'm tiny in this competition, by the way. Like, I'm probably like the third shortest guy in the rankings right now. It's pretty insane when I get around these guys. It's like, I went to the PGA show earlier this year, and we had our World Long Drive like opening meeting, and I like felt great. My swing felt great. I felt like I was working out. I felt big. I took one step in that room and I just completely deflated. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so like, here's like Mike Dobbin. He's 6'8", 300 pounds of like solid proportionate muscle. I'm like, like guys.
That was my next question is, do these guys have like John Daly-ish kind of? I feel like more and more probably like on the softer side, but I have literally no idea. I mean, you seem like you're in very good shape. You look strong. What's the typical like body?
It's all over the place. I mean, you get guys, there's some super fast guys that look like they're so out of shape, and then, you know, there's fast guys that are jacked. So it's kind of everywhere. Everyone's got their philosophies and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, you get those guys with the dad bods that just have like insanely fast hands, and yeah, so that's where you get to the topic of like things that you can't teach. Like, those guys were just born with, you know, those abilities and stuff like that. So,
well, and you also wonder, I mean, some of those guys who are like fat and out of shape, if you suddenly transform their body into like very muscular and in shape, do they actually hit the ball farther? That's like one of those questions where it's not clear.
Yeah, I know it is. It isn't. I mean, that's where like, is their body mass part of the reason why the ball's exiting so fast, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at guys like, I mean, who are some big league guys that like maybe Pablo
like
Sandoval or
CC Sabathia.
CC,
I mean,
yeah.
Like if he's
Even
suddenly
Miguel
a skinny
Cabrera.
diet, yeah, you just don't even know if they're the same. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, you see guys that lose weight and they weren't as good as the year before.
Yeah, because it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is like people that can just produce rotational power, like their body just knows how to wind up and create that elastic, you know, stretch reflex. When you start messing with that, you can like completely screw them up. Like whether it's a pitcher that has like a weird, like I always kind of wrapped a little bit when I pitched, and I just like couldn't feel myself. I wasn't the same. My arm felt kind of bad if I tried to like, you know, people tried to like get me very square, like you just lift your leg and you go. But I always needed to wrap to like get my body in sync. And it's like you can't screw with that sometimes and have them. And I feel like sometimes the being overweight or just having whatever your unique body is sometimes is like that same thing.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I've never been from that angle, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe you should get super fat and just test it out. I mean, come on, man, you're trying to be the best.
Take this time and get a little out of shape. See what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm on, as far as my diet right now, I'm sure I'm on my way there, man. I've been.
This is a good time. Were you, Jeremy? Were you a Simpsons fan growing up?
I was.
Do you remember the episode where Homer tries to get on disability, and so he tries to become the world's fattest man, or not fattest man, but he tries.
Was that where
he has to get to
where he's trying to make a phone call, emergency call, and the phone told him his fingers are too fat for this phone?
Yeah, it says please mash all the keys at once with your palm if you need help. On his training regimen, I remember he was in Krusty Burger with Bart, and Homer he got like all these burgers, and I guess he got like a different assortment of them, and Homer was like, Bart, is this one compatible with my diet? And Bart takes it, he unwraps it, he smears it on the wall. Well, so their litmus test was if it was greasy enough that you could wipe it on a piece of paper and the paper became like translucent, then it was fatty enough for Homer to eat. So he takes his burger, unwraps it, wipes it on the wall of Krusty Burger, and it becomes clear as glass, and then a bird flies into it. One of my best memories from that show. That shows. I mean, you can't say enough about The Simpsons, but
Simpsons
that could be you. That could be you.
Oh yeah. So sticking with that, what have you been doing in the quarantine time? Dan always asks, have you bought anything? And I've got my little I've got my little shovel, like a metal shovel.
It's a psycho
length
shovel.
thing.
Bobby's gonna kill someone with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a hunting
Needs to be
shovel.
taken from him.
Yeah, my wife got me. But like, have you bought anything? Have you gone a little crazy, late night shopping?
Yeah, I made a purchase for my truck a couple days ago. So I'm gonna do the leveling kit and new wheels and tires, and yeah, I have a lot of carts filled up in different places. But oh yeah, it's dangerous, man. You can't, like, I gave my wife the passcode to Amazon for a little bit, and we just kept getting shipped stuff, and it's like it's the same thing, man. You get stuck at home, and then you get online shopping. It's like it gets pretty wild. What are you looking at?
He just implicated his wife.
Yeah.
Jeremy's gonna be sleeping on that couch. He's gonna be sleeping where he's sitting
she knows
for the rest of
that
the
look.
You get there's packages every day at the front door, and I look, and we live in a condo building, so it's my wife's name, and I'm always like, I bring them upstairs with a look on my face, like, what the hell? Like, what did we order today? We even left the house, and
Well, if Bobby complains, then he won't get his allowance. Jenny won't give him his allowance, so he just wears it.
That's the married life, Dan. You'll get there.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of quarantine, are you hitting balls into a net right now? Do you have somewhere to go? Can you just like go over to? Can you like make a platform out of snow, or like what does training look like?
So yeah, I have two places I hit right now. So the local driving range, it was open, I was hitting, and then it shut down for a few weeks, and then they reopened golf courses again. So they're open back up. But there's a training facility nearby that my buddy's able, because they're essential, being a PT and stuff like that, that I'll come in there when no one's in there, and I'll do my hitting and my training in there, it's awesome. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, it's limited. I know there's with golf courses, there's one of the courses reached out to me recently and said that they were hoping, because I was going to help them out with social media and stuff, which is pretty cool. So they said I could film out there anytime. So I might be doing some filming out on a golf course within the next week or so.
That's awesome. Question, and this is an important one. With your low launch angle driver, can you like knock over like the guy that picks up the golf balls in his little cart? Like, are you super good at just like crushing those things, or what?
Oh, I could shoot lasers with that thing if I wanted to. So I posted on my channel. So like, there's in the wintertime here, they have the golf dome set up, and they're probably like 90 yards to hit to the back wall. But the one I hit at the bottom, probably 18 inches, is this concrete wall. And you have your dome that leads into it. So I'd actually, like, the end of my round, I'd always try to hit one off. And I have a couple of videos on my channel where I hit a straight liner, and it's like this far off the ground the whole way, and it hits the concrete wall and comes all the way back to me from 90 yards out. So that's amazing. So yeah, I always practice that shot.
So speaking of your channel, I want to ask you this. You were recently on, did Joe Rogan mention you by name on his podcast?
So he said my channel name. So basically they're having a discussion about hockey. So they're trying to figure out the fastest slap shot in the world. And while they're looking up, Joe, he just turns and he's like, "Did you see that guy that hits that golf ball out of that Top Golf?" And then he starts talking, and yeah, and then he was like getting super amped up about it. He's like, it's crazy. And then sure enough, like maybe a minute later, they finally found a clip of me on Instagram. They brought up one of my clips. Like, yeah, there he is, the Swingman. Yeah, look at this. And
so that's, for people that don't know, Joe Rogan's podcast gets what, 5 to 6 million hits every time he puts out an episode.
Yeah, at least.
What kind of bump did that give you? Did you just see a flood of people come to your page and watch some of these videos?
It was wild because it was within a 5-day span of when I got on Sports Center. So it kind of just like all happened at one time. So it's really tough to tell, because even Sports Center, like how fast my channel blew up from that, it was still overflowing at that point. Like I was up to 500,000 profile visits that week. And I gained like, what was it? Yeah, I was in the middle of like making my 50,000 follower video. And yeah, I gained like 17,000 followers within like like 8 or 9 days. But yeah, so it's tough to say. My YouTube channel did get, my YouTube channel, I haven't put in as much time as I want to into it, but yeah, I got like 1,000 followers or 1,000 subscribers on YouTube from it, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. I as far as how it felt, I mean, SportsCenter was cool, man, but just hearing Joe Rogan talk about me was probably one of the coolest moments ever.
You gotta add him. You gotta tweet him. Be like, dude, let's go to
I have, man.
Joe. Let's go to Topgolf together. Let's do it.
Yeah, I've sent him messages, man, but I haven't heard anything back. But then you look, and he's got like 22 million followers, and it's like,
yeah,
I have 67,000. I have like over 120 messages in my inbox that I still haven't gotten to, and I'll get through like 30 of them, and then it just gets reloaded. So I'm sure he just, they get messages all the time. So,
well, are you blue check mark now for Instagram?
Yeah, I've been. I got the blue check mark at like 40,000, I think, or just shy of 40,000 followers. So yeah.
Just show up mysteriously, or did you have to?
You have
contact you about it.
Well, they have the you like request verification on there, and I requested it at like 20,000, 30,000, and never got it. And then yeah, it was somewhere near 40,000. I finally got the verification, gotcha. So it was pretty cool.
What would get a lot of views today would be if you could get yourself an Asian giant hornet. Have you seen those things? And then
that's what I was gonna tell you about the Simpsons. I was gonna tell you about the Simpsons episode, because that's been hitting. I don't know if you've seen like social media, because they're talking about in the episode. I didn't watch the whole episode, but it shows all the people outside and they're protesting because they wanted a cure for whatever disease was going around. And the doctor said, like, yeah, you stay at home. That's the cure, whatever. If I give you anything, it's going to be a placebo. And then the lady screams, she's like, where's the placebo at, or whatever. And then they're like, I think it's in the truck. And then a big group of them shake the truck, and a container falls out full of killer bees and starts swarming around. And like, it's insane. Like how many times they've had things before it even happened, like come out. It's pretty wild.
Matt Groening is a time traveler for sure. He's definitely been back and forth to different years.
Yeah.
Strictly for cartoon purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get one of those hornets, you freeze with liquid nitrogen, put it on your golf tee, and then slow motion hit the murder hornet, shatter it. See, these are gold. I won't charge you for that idea. But,
I think that'd break the club head. Those things are huge.
They're terrifying. Where are they, I don't want them. They're in like Washington State. They found some up there. I was reading the article about it.
Washington's just getting it the worst. Then
it rains all the time. They have coronavirus. They have huge hornets. Terrible. Why does anyone live there ever? Why do you live there? I don't know.
Nobody anymore. They're all leaving.
Yeah. Over here in DC, we have our president, but on the pro side, we have lots of sunshine, no hornets, no rain. It's great. It's great. So yeah, but it's weird. I was a murder hornet. I was on the bandwagon long ago because I am fascinated personally by praying mantises. I just think they're super cool. And I stumbled upon on Instagram this guy from like South Korea who has this account where he just like goes in the forest. He's just like some dude, but he was going to this tree where they're always praying mantises, screwing around with these murder hornets, trying to catch them and eat them. And then they're both like the studs of the insect world. So one day the mantis tries to catch a Asian giant hornet and successfully like has him and keeps him there and eats him alive. And then the next day he wriggles out, gets on his back, and like bites his neck until his head comes off. So I was just like this is the best thing ever.
What?
This is the best channel ever. Every day,
what are you watching?
Guy just wanders out. This guy just wanders out to the woods, checks on the Asian hornet and mantis battles. It was awesome.
I think the guy on YouTube that gets stung by like crazy insects. You ever see that guy?
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, he just tries to talk about the pain he's experiencing from like the worst things you could get. Like I don't know how people like he'll like literally capture. I think he captured that bee that's around. I don't know if the Asian hornet or whatever. But yeah, he captured this thing in a container. It's like this big, and then he takes it out and puts it on a jar on top of his arm, and they zoom in, they show the stinger gut in and stuff like that, and they just show him on the ground like paralyzed. Like, what are you doing, dude? But he got.
Is he getting?
I mean,
Is he
sure,
getting
makes a ton
paid
of
for
money.
this? Let's say, is he getting
God.
paid for that?
Yeah, he's got millions and millions of subscribers. So this guy gets paid a lot. He travels to all parts of the world to just get bit by animals. It's like
There's got to be
you,
something
like-
in that. Like, how do you harness? Like, can you be the guy that goes to all these professional boxers and just gets punched in the face one time? Like, here we go.
Yeah.
Like Floyd
okay, I
Mayweather.
can't feel my face.
Simpsons did
Yeah.
that too. Remember? Homer fought Dredrick Tatum.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, you get like that
Also
new
an
Mike
amazing
Tyson
episode.
video. New Mike Tyson
Yeah.
video where he's training.
He's-
he got
he's
offered $1
still
million
terrifying.
to fight some professional rugby player in Australia for charity. $1 million. And if you're this rugby player, you've got to be, I mean, terrified. Mike
Still
Tyson-
scared.
it's-
Yes.
Well, it's
Still
not. It's
scared.
not his
Oh, yeah.
boxing prowess. It's the fact that he's a straight up lunatic. Regardless of how much weed he's smoking nowadays, he's just an absolute psycho, combined with crazy strength and speed.
Yeah.
Like there's
His
definitely a
yeah.
market there to get punched in the face by Mike Tyson on video, like The Hangover. Like that's
Yeah.
I just have to stop us again though. You guys have seen that Simpsons episode though, where Homer learns that he has this gift. Do you guys remember this one?
I don't remember that one.
yes, I do. I
There
remember
was
this
an
one.
episode where I think Homer like fell off something, but he was like unharmed, and he goes into Dr. Hibbard, and Dr. Hibbard x-rays his head, and he's like, you have this really thick extra layer of like cerebral fluid, and then he pulls out this 2x4 out of a piece of like, he goes, I could wallop you with this sterile surgical 2x4 all day, and it wouldn't phase you a bit. He's like, but I have other patients. And then Homer decides, with the help of Mo, who becomes his manager, that because you like basically can't knock him out, he could just be a boxer and wear guys down, just taking a beating, and then just like push him over at the end. So that's what he does. So he goes on tour fighting hobos, and then the Mike Tyson character in The Simpsons, who they call Dredrick Tatum, they get wind that there's this guy who like can't be knocked out. And they're like, hey, we just want 3 rounds. We'll pay you very well. And then Homer does it because Mo wants the money. And then he's like expecting it to be like these regular hobos. And then the first punch, it just like hits him like a freight train. He goes, oh. And then there's this amazing moment. You have to look this episode up because it's incredible, where he's just like getting just destroyed. And he's just like, it's fundamentally different because it's Mike Tyson. And he's like getting woozy. He's like about to pass out. It's barely in the first round, and he needs to make it 3 rounds. And then he hears Marge. He sees the top of her head, her blue hair, out of the crowd, and she's yelling, Homer, he's not like the other ones. You have to fight back. You have to hit him back. And he goes, that cactus is right. I've got to hit him back. And it's like this big moment, and he takes this huge cut, completely misses, falls down, and then Tatum punches him on the top of the head. It's the best. It's just the best episode. All right, I'm done. I'm done with this.
I want to like what amount of money would you take to get just laced by one Mike Tyson right hand, right hook?
I would never. It wouldn't be worth it, man.
It seems
It
like a
wouldn't be
real
worth it.
hazard to your health, like a real hazard.
Yeah,
But he's got
that'd be a
gloves on. He's got
legitimate-
gloves on. Gloves on.
I'd say you have about a 40% chance of remembering that you're supposed to get paid for that.
Well, that's why you have your agent negotiate.
Yeah, you got to film it.
So you're telling me to, let's say $500,000 to get punched in the face. Just one punch.
No,
He could miss. You know that. He could miss.
I don't think he's gonna miss.
What about like give it 30 seconds in the how much for 30 seconds in the ring? But you can move. Like you can get out of the way.
Ooh,
You can move.
see, that changes things.
Well, and here's-
$500,000
I
done.
would just.
I'm in.
I mean, I would just run. I'd run for 30 seconds in a circle.
They corner you. Just
just screaming like a girl. But here's the real question: is like obviously Mike Tyson punched a lot of boxers, and they were humans just like us. But are they like more glancing blows when you're like, because you're a boxer, like you like clearly they didn't avoid his punch, but at the same time they still got punched. Is it more just like glancing, and so then they don't like physically just die? Like if he just like walked up to me and punched me in the face as hard as he could, that's going to be different, I would assume, than getting hit in a boxing match, right? Am I wrong?
I'm sure they can. I mean, in a boxing match, I've seen plenty of punches that were as flush as you could possibly hit a person. But
I actually went
Okay,
down this
fair,
rabbit hole
fair.
yesterday of just clean knockouts on YouTube. It just, they kept popping up. Oh, some good ones. Some really
Yeah.
good ones. Like people, you just see them, they basically died for a split second, hit the canvas, came back.
yeah,
But they're not so.
Oh, yeah.
So it's technically potentially safe enough. I mean, it's not like Pulp Fiction where Butch kills the guy in the ring, but
I mean,
Tyson never
there's been
killed
they
guys
do
anybody.
too that
They
there's
do
been
say
guys
it's
that have died from brain damage. But
they do say it's a lot. It's safer to just get like knocked out once than it is to be awake and take repeated
through it.
blows to the
Yeah.
face.
Hmm.
Which, like,
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
tough enough. You're tough enough not to get knocked out, but then Mike Tyson gets to hit you 30 or 40 more times.
Yeah.
That's not ideal.
I'd 30 seconds in the ring for $500,000. I'm doing it.
Wow.
Especially
that's
like, if I get to run around, like, I don't know, just cover your face and hope for the best.
I don't think
I
that
don't know.
tactic's
Life-changing
going to
money.
yield
Think
good
over
results for
strategy.
you.
I would need.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll set it up. I'll call Mike. Fight
Yeah, see what he says.
fight some random person for $500,000
For 30 seconds.
Yeah, do that.
for 30
So
seconds.
Jeremy, what's on your agenda going forward as far as like social media, your YouTube channel? Like you can do, I think you're in the niche, which is really, I think, like you could potentially someday completely just make your living from YouTube, for example, just
Yeah.
because people they love watching fascinating things, and you have a fascinating thing. You get hit golf balls at stuff, over stuff, onto stuff, through stuff. You get a cool slow motion camera, spend a couple of grand on a nice slow motion camera, and just, man, this is what contact with ball speed of 210 miles per hour looks like in 2000 frames per second. Like what's on your radar as far as growing all of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Instagram thing, I feel like I got a pretty good hold of, and my biggest challenge right now is just finding places, the time, the people to be able to shoot new content. And but as far as the YouTube channel, I'm still trying to find what it is that's going to attract the most attention, because the toughest thing about YouTube, I do several different things between baseball training tips. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think it just switched. You're good now. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, between baseball training tips, workout tips and stuff like that, I got a lot of different parts of my channel, which I've talked to other YouTubers, successful YouTubers and stuff. I don't know if you know John Madden from Yugo Pro Baseball. I did a podcast with him a couple days ago, and we had a very good conversation about it, because I'm trying to look for ways to grow. And it's about finding that one kind of topic that will keep drawing your followers back in to watch and repeatedly and for over a span of time. So you got to keep it interesting. So that's what my biggest goal is now, is just trying to find what my audience would be most interested in for most consistently when they log onto YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try all sorts of stuff coming up in these next couple months and see what's gaining traction and see where it goes. Because if I'm gonna see YouTube as a possible career output, then I have to commit to something as far as that goes. I can't just keep jumping around with as many things as I can do. And that's kind of getting into YouTube too. That's kind of where I started, actually, is I wanted to be a YouTuber eventually. I just didn't know, because I have a lot more things I'm very interested in, and outside of baseball, which long drive was a more recent thing. But like, I'm into cars, I'm into four-wheelers and stuff like that, which are very successful channels that do all that stuff. But it was actually an impersonation I posted of Robinson Cano on YouTube on my channel originally, and I just had it there for like 3 months. Someone took it off of YouTube and put it on their Twitter, and it had like 500,000 views. And I just got all these text messages and stuff from ball players, teammates, asking if that was me. I'm like, holy cow, like who the heck shared that? And they didn't give me
Yeah.
any credit for it or anything. And I'm like, well, I guess that's a sign right there. I should start a channel doing impersonations. And that's how the channel started to begin with.
So they just screen share, they just like screen recorded it and stole it, or
Yeah.
they just took the link.
No, they screen recorded it and put it on their Twitter.
Did you call them out in any way? Like that's pretty.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I
like,
called, and then and then when I started an Instagram, that video was still going viral. It was still like getting all these hits from other channels, and I kept asking them to throw me credit. And I remember like channels early on, like big channels saying like, "Hey man, you know, we got this off of so and so that we gave them credit." And then I don't know, the one channel said something, I wish I could have screenshotted it, but something about like, you know, you got to work hard to get to like this level, or something like arrogant, like as far as it goes. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like I'm the person in the video, like
Right.
you can't deny that. Like it was frustrating, but I mean, at the end of the day, I was like, oh well, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So it kind of helped me. I mean, I don't know if it helped me or not, but some of the people that came over to like originally were like, oh, you're the guy that did the Robbie Cano impersonation, because they already liked the video from another channel. But yeah, so it was quite a roller coaster ride to get where I'm at now, but definitely a lot more planned in the future.
Yeah, I always remember you doing the impersonations in the locker room. Like that was like a big thing, right? Like you impersonate guys in a team or whatever, like Ty or somebody, because Ty had a very unique one. Well, he had a very unique setup, and he's like very rigid, and yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's my favorite impersonation, man.
He's got
every rain delay.
I still, I mean, you keep in touch with Ty, so I still keep in touch with Ty a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just like he's just. If you guys don't know, Ty Kelly, he'll actually be in the World Baseball Classic, or excuse me, the Olympics, whenever for Team Israel. He's on Team Israel, and they qualified and everything. Just watch his batting stance, and you can get a. You can see where we would take that in the locker room when Jeremy was doing it. It's just just the awkwardness of like how he would stand. Very good hitter. I mean, don't get me wrong, like really good professional hitter,
yeah.
And scores everything out. But just like probably something you wouldn't teach one of the younger guys that steps in the box. He just had a lot of success with a very unorthodox stance. My
favorite thing that he did, like everything he did was so like just like by the book. The way he fielded, the way he did everything was just like, you know what I mean? There was nothing flashy about anything he ever did.
No,
but like
nothing.
I thought it was hilarious because he had the best eye at the plate. Like he would always have more walks and strikeouts every year. And I thought it was so funny, like when he would be at the plate and like say a pitcher threw one up and away and they'll call it a strike, and he knew it wasn't a strike, and he would look at the umpire like this. So he'd step out of the box in his next practice swing, because he'd always do this like chopping motion. But if he takes a pitch like up and away, he'd do this like for his next practice swing.
It's like his way of showing up the umpire without saying anything. He would take the practice swing at the location of the ball that he just took.
Like it would be like a ball like coming in low. He'd like almost hit the ground on his practice swing.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's so funny.
But yeah, that's where the person.
Go ahead.
I was to say with the impersonations, that was like my favorite thing. Like rain delays, like if we're facing, the Red Sox, for example, because when I was there in 2012 with Frederick, they had some super studs over there, like Xander Bogaerts and Travis Shaw and Jackie Bradley Jr. Like whenever we get in rain delays, I just hop out of the dugout and start impersonating different guys on both teams. That was like one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, that's kind of how, like I said, growing up doing the impersonations to playing on all the teams, I always like watching guys and see how they did things, and I could just always emulate them.
Yeah, it's a certain type of body control that you need that some people just like, I'm not good at impersonations. I can do like a good old timey voice, but that's about the only thing I can impersonate. And obviously batting stances. I don't know. It's weird that it's like not everyone can do that, but it's like a definite skill for sure. Like the batting stance guy is super good at it, obviously, and yeah, it's interesting.
He's got nothing on Jeremy.
I know he never hits. He uses a wiffle ball bat, but but yeah, I always thought it would be cool, like one day to just get big enough with the impersonations that I could, show up to a ballpark, get a field pass, and just take batting practice, like with Stanton while I'm mimicking Stanton or something like that. But
Right.
I thought that'd be cool because you see the batting stance guy, like he's got so many videos where he's like at the park while they're stretching, he's just imitating guys and they're just getting a good laugh out of it. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's,
mean, just got to watermark your videos probably. Just put something like in
oh, I
frame
do
where
now. Yeah.
they couldn't possibly cut it out, because if you put it like way in the corner, they could still like center cut you. But
Yep.
yeah,
No, I do it now. It's like down in the middle of it. But any video that I feel like it could go viral, I always watermark it now.
yeah, it's a shame people just like will steal and just like don't care. I mean, I think it's harder probably than ever to enforce the stuff. Although there's some companies like Getty Images, like they are well known for coming after anyone that acts, like screenshots or uses one of their images, and they'll just give you this. You just get a letter. It's like, hey, you owe us $1,000. We know you used this photo here. Like, here's the proof. There's like no getting out of it either, because I mean, you go to court, but really these are real legal notices, and they have a real law team that just like shakes people down. But then again, trying to do that yourself, like if you were trying to go after those accounts that stole your stuff, it's going to be hard probably to make it worth your while. But like a big company like Getty has just like tons of lawyers just churning out those notices, just paying for themselves, which it's just the internet's weird with all that. I had this guy, Trent Mongero, stole one of my, he's another YouTuber. He's like an older dude, but he just like basically stole my clip and basically stole the caption too. My buddy saw it. He's like, yeah, not a good look there, plagiarizing Coach Dan. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's clearly like my clip. I put it on Instagram like a day ago. And he's like, oh, I got it from someone else. Someone emailed it to me. It's like, you suck. Like, just apologize. Like, you suck. Then he starts trying to go off on like, oh, I know how hard we all work, and like spouting some Christian stuff. It's like, dude, you just suck. Like, just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
I hate you.
So yeah, but people, I mean, to your credit, people don't appreciate how much effort goes into even just like producing one clip. Like for me, I told him, I'm like, look, dude, I sat at a baseball game. This was a slow motion clip I got, and I commented on it. I sat at a baseball game. I bought a $1,500 camera, and I went to a baseball game that I paid my way into with that camera. Got 3 hours of footage, sifted through it, found 30 clips that were good, and then edited them and did all this stuff just so that you could steal it. Like, people don't realize like what good content looks like. And like, you've been doing your swing stuff for forever, and it's not easy to do that. And that's like your signature thing, in addition to clipping it and editing it and putting it on social media. Like, it's not just like stealing someone's, like candy bar. Like, it's a lot of effort. People don't appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when it's your image, so.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, Jeremy, it's awesome talk, man. I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I learned a lot about golf. I don't know much about golf. And I just think the power thing, it's super interesting just to hear like the things that you can do. And you you clearly have a bright future. Just like you said, you have a lot of interests, and you're good at a lot of stuff, and you have a good social media presence, and like a lot of different avenues that you could go. So I'm excited for you, man. That sounds awesome.
No, I appreciate that, man. And I'm excited to see where it can take me. I'm just hoping that, this whole shutdown ends soon and we could get back to getting on schedule with some of this stuff. But yeah, I'm all about it. And the biggest thing for me too is just trying to help grow the sport. Like I said, I mean, I'm always trying to help guys. A lot of guys that are done playing baseball now are trying to figure out a way to get into it. And I'm almost like that bridge from the baseball world into long drive that I'm trying to provide. And it's pretty insane the amount of inbox messages I get from guys just having questions about it, that I just forward everything I know about it to them, and links and contacts if they have any further questions that I can't answer. So that goes for anyone out there that might be listening to, that ever wants to get into it. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'll send them whatever information I could help them with. Absolutely.
Well, and that could be, a YouTube series for you as well. I mean, probably just compiling a lot of those questions, like how to get into long drive. I mean, is that a thing that you've done, or is there anything like that out there?
No, I mean, that is a great idea. I mean, like, as far as the channel goes and stuff, I always like to use that, as far as like kids asking questions about hitting or further explain, I always send links to YouTube. So yeah, try to make it easier for everyone. That wouldn't be a bad idea to make one YouTube video to kind of forward everyone with all the information.
Yeah, save you some time at the least.
Yeah, for sure.
So where can people follow up with you on social media? Where would you like us to direct them to?
So Instagram is at the Swingman _. TikTok is the same at the Swingman _. Twitter, I just joined that, so I'm still learning that, but it's the same channel name. And then YouTube is the Swingman. So, and then as far as any kind of gear, so I do sell hats and shirts, and we actually are coming out with some. Thanks, man. We got some pretty awesome stuff. I've been product testing for the last few weeks, so we're announcing one of them next week on there. So I'm gonna have some more custom things coming out. So I'm pretty excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely check up on Jeremy, all of his Swingman accounts. I mean, some really cool stuff. I mean, if you haven't seen him swing a golf club, you definitely need to jump over there and check it out. It's pretty fun. It's phenomenally, terrifyingly far that you can hit a golf ball. So
it's awesome. It's good. It's
awesome.
Good rabbit hole material. You can just keep going like every single one back and forth.
For sure.
Yeah. If you guys, if I'm ever out in the Chicago way, man, and we have a scramble tournament in the area, we got to get together and golf.
Oh, but those scramble tournaments are by the 13th hole, 14th hole, the golf becomes secondary. We're good for the first 9. And
I 100% agree with that.
Bobby's got Malort on the golf course.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it becomes leisure. But for those, we got to enter some big ones, some big prize tournaments. That's where you come in.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun for sure.
Well, thanks again, man. And Bobby, you want to read us out?
Thanks, Jerry. I'm gonna grab myself some of that gear, the hat and everything. But thanks for everybody for watching. Jeremy, thanks for coming on. We'll see everybody on Tuesday.
Yep. Morning brush back. See ya.